everyone. Welcome. Welcome. How are we doing tonight? Hi, Nicolette. Good to see you. Oh my goodness.
Happy New Year. Hi, Libby.
Happy New Year.
Hello.
Hi, Libby.
Hello. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
I'm a friend of Marcia Whitney's.
Yes, that's right. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I was so excited to see that today.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're in for a treat. This is going to be very interesting. We have a really neat topic, and we have just a deep dive on it. That's going to be, I hope will be as exciting for all of you as it has been for me. And but before we jump in, actually, who's been using AI tools in any way, shape, or form so far? You can raise your hand or click the icon. Who's been using AI for their work? Okay, Imagina. Anyone else? No. ChatGPT. Nicolette, you've been using? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. LaShante, you've been using? Patricia? Okay. Great. Excellent. All right. Okay, well, welcome to our first webinar of the new year. This is so exciting. I see so many familiar faces. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Lulis.
Hi.
Dave Charlton. Good to see everyone. So our guest presenter tonight is Daniel Alberttis. He's an advisor to my team. He's an advisor to a lot of people, and he has really done a deep dive. Well, he's always been a tech expert and my go-to resource for anything that has to do with technology. But he's really done a deep dive into AI and the uses of AI. And we really feel that AI has been characterized as being this evil that's going to take over jobs, and it's be careful, it's going to impersonate, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. But there are so many wonderful applications of AI in the social impact space. And there's so much that it can do for us to improve what we're doing, to improve efficiencies, to speed up your work, to free you up to work on other things. And it just felt like we have to share all of this with you so that you can come along on this journey with us and hopefully learn and feel emboldened to test things out and try things out. So with that, I'm just going to jump right in. And Danny, I'm going to make you co-host. But it is great to see everyone. Happy New Year. And let's get started. All right. So you're co-hosting.
Happy New Year, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. How's everybody doing today? I hear there's some crazy storms in the US happening.
Yes.
I'm out of the country, so it's like I keep looking around and everyone's like, it's like tornadoes and rain and all these amazing things. So hopefully everyone's safe and sound wherever you are in your neck of the woods. Thank you for the introduction, Kirsten. I'm Daniel Alberttis. For those that do not know me, I have a background in the corporate banking world, in entrepreneurship and startups, but also heavily in the nonprofit space. I have a master's in nonprofit management. My last position at JP Morgan was running a division for the Southeast of Florida, focusing on helping nonprofits, both large and small, manage their money and scale and deliver on their financial services. So I got a really good opportunity to learn the intricacies, the ins and outs of the nonprofit space, and met a lot of interesting people like the Kirstens of the world, like the Jerrys of the world, and have really learned a lot. And the last 8-9 years, I've been focused heavily on kind of that marriage between the for-profit, nonprofit, social impact space, heavily into technology, heavily into AI, different things that we can do to really try to drive the impact that we're all seeking to make in our little corners of the world. So I know Kirsten started off by asking who's using AI. I saw some hands up, but I really want to make this interactive as we kind of go through this. So what are some of the use cases that you're using AI? Do I have access to the chat? I do, so either in the chat or just come on and tell us, what are you doing? Anybody?
Using it to do a little research and put thoughts together for a presentation.
Okay. For your organization?
Yes,
Okay. How has that turned out so far?
pretty good, pretty good. I'm tickled at the information that's out there regarding the organization, recognizing that there are some things that need updating.
Okay, perfect. And that was ChatGPT that you used?
No, that was I'll tell you when I remember.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, most people are familiar with ChatGPT, so we'll heavily focus today on that, although there are different tools out there. It's kind of like the Google searches, right? There's Bing, there's Google search, what is it, DuckDuckGo, kind of all these different ones, and they all kind of accomplish the same thing. Anyone else that can share a little bit of what you're doing, or maybe what you're interested in doing, some of the ideas that are out there? Don't be shy. Lulis, I'm gonna have to call you out. I know Lulis uses ChatGPT a little bit, so what do you use it for?
So we had a retreat last November, so it was right after we had our first meeting with you, and I kind of put together a lot of the theme and the points for our retreat, and it came out really good. I mean, I kind of gave them ideas, and the way it sorted them out, that was great. And I used it a lot, the ChatGPT, a lot to do letters or like emails, because the way it structures everything, it's very straightforward, it's very clean.
Yeah.
And I can say, give me more, give me less, add this to it, take this out. So it's been really great. So that way it's kind of like my other assistant.
And I know that your organization is in Mexico, so are you doing it in both languages? How's that working out for you?
No, actually, what I'm doing right now is just for here, for
The English,
yeah,
US.
the English, yes. And we
Okay.
have Sylvia that is helping us a lot with all the strategy plans. So even like strategy plans that she gives me, I put it in ChatGPT, and it kind of gives like a layout of timelines and stuff. So it's really cool.
Perfect. Perfect. How about someone that's not using it, but is curious about using it and is looking for some ideas or tips? Yes.
I would say we're all using it, whether we know it or not, just with machine learning. When you start
Sure.
a sentence and it finishes the sentence for you, if you watch Netflix, it tells you what you like watching and what might be available. So to a certain extent, we're all using it.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm interested in, there are so many things that are coming in the near future, and I want to be a little bit ahead of the curve and start taking advantage of some of these things.
Yeah.
I certainly am not an expert at it, but I'm learning about it. And I mean, that's really what the future is going to be. So I'm very interested in learning more.
I'm glad you have that attitude, Jerry, because I mean, for one, I consider you a subject matter expert. Your decades of experience, working with all the work that you did in our community. So what you're kind of hitting it the nail on the head. It's really about the future it's not even funny. It's not even coming. It's like yesterday. It's like already behind us. Like there's things are happening so quickly, and the advancements are happening so quickly. So I'll do kind of a general breakdown of like where we are, what's kind of happened, and kind of what's coming down the pipeline that I see as someone that's heavily interested in this. And I'll add one more thing why I'm heavily interested in this. I also happen to serve as a trustee at a major foundation in West Palm Beach, Florida. We focus in the healthcare space. We grant about $7 million a year. And I always feel like we can do more, not just us necessarily as a foundation, but really as a community. And I think the hard part for us to understand from the philanthropic side of things is what's really happening in our communities. And I always kind of say like the weakest link that we have in terms of gathering information is really the person that's on the organizational level doing the work with the individual, with the community, kind of boots on the ground. Even if the managers at organizations are a step removed, executives even a little bit more, by the time we hear about it in philanthropy, things tend to change a little bit, and things to kind of, it's like the telephone game, you know what I'm saying? Like you kind of start with one thing, you start with the word hot dog, and before you know it, it's like, something completely different by the time it gets to us. And I'm really looking at what we can do in terms of having organizations use technology, especially AI and machine learning, which you mentioned, to try to help gather that information collectively. Can we create a shared vision for, let's say, one county within Palm Beach, because that's where most of us happen to be, and then really deliver value as to how do you gauge what's happening at a level where we can actually respond with capital and resources in a quicker manner, as opposed to the years that it takes for us to kind of, I mean, Jerry, you're a finance guy, right? The 990s just came out from like 2020 or 2019. It was like 2 or 3 years delayed, right? And so if I'm analyzing that and I'm trying to make some research on that, I'm already 2.5, 3 years behind. And so that's not good enough in terms of, getting the need to where the communities tend to be. And so that's the kind of the vision that I see philanthropy playing, nonprofit world playing, and all that. I see a hand raised from Sylvia.
Yes, I have an interest how you can perfect grant presentation and align to the needs and values of the grantee. And that I think that AI could be very helpful, and would love to hear your insights.
Yeah, perfect. I'll definitely touch on that as we kind of delve into some of the things that we're doing. So before I share my screen, I'll kind of give you kind of like an overview, kind of really interesting. I think most of us are used to traditional search engines, the Googles, right? Just go Google it. It's actually a verb, at this point now when it comes to that. And if you think about the concept of how we've been trained to do research, it's kind of like even going back to the libraries of the encyclopedia days. When I was a kid and I had to go to the public library and do research the old way of just kind of looking at the index cards and kind of accelerating that. And if I just look at what Google does, is that you search something, just like you said, like how do I write an effective grant? You're going to get these results, right? And these results are just step by step, one by one, kind of down. And then you have to go in and say, okay, let me look at the first link. That's sponsored. Maybe that's not what I want. It's the second one. And it's tedious, right? And you look at the bottom and it says, 20,000 websites have been crawled and there's all this information, but it still takes a long time to really, delve into the little tidbits of what each little piece of code says. And what AI or artificial intelligence, what a ChatGPT does in the simplest of forms, is that it took all of that information in the internet. The 3.5 version, I'll explain a little bit, has all the information in the internet through April of 2023. And basically it just chopped it up into like all these different little pieces, and it knows how to pull information back. And it uses statistics and probability to kind of answer the question, answer the concern that you have. And it gives you an answer of all the data that's spread out across thousands and hundreds of thousands of websites. And it gives it to you in an easier to understand format just based on probability. And that's what machine learning is. That's really the gist of what artificial intelligence is, to kind of deliver that to you, right? So let me share my screen. Let's start with that, right? I'm going to heavily focus on ChatGPT today, although there are other what's called LLMs, large language models. And that's basically, for those that understand, a database or a data lake. It's really just a centralized place where all this information lies, where the data has been trained and these specific models have been trained. So just like Google is different than Bing or Yahoo search, because they just were trained differently, their bots do different things. These LLMs do accomplish the same aspect of what they're doing there. So let me see. Perfect. I'm going to go in. So who here has a ChatGPT account? Let's start with that. Can we get a hand? Krista, maybe you can help me with that, because I'm sharing my screen. So give me like a rough estimate of how many we're talking about. One person has a ChatGPT account. Okay, perfect. Tanaka has one.
I have one too.
Perfect. 2, 3. Okay, this is going to be really exciting then. All right, so do not be overwhelmed by everything that you see on the screen. I have a lot of stuff on it because I tend to use it a lot and do a lot of things here. So I will back up. Creating a ChatGPT account is free, okay? And so when you have two options when it comes to ChatGPT, if you're an individual or a small business or a small nonprofit, you could either have the free account, and that's called version 3.5, which is the one you're going to see here. And then if you pay the $20 a month for what's called GPT Plus, you can actually upgrade to 4. I'll explain in a second kind of like what the differences are, but for those that want to start, and if you want to just go to ChatGPT today, you can just Google ChatGPT or OpenAI, and you can actually create a free account. And you will literally have the same information that you see on my screen right now, except for most of the things that you see on the left-hand side, it'll just kind of be blank. Okay. So this works very similar to the way you would search within Google, right? So you're going to go into the chat and you're going to say, you know, how do I fly a kite, right? Random things that you want to ask it, right? And it's going to just give you all of this information back, right? And to me, like, I have a little bit of ADHD, like that's overwhelming sometimes. Like that's just like, okay, wait, I'm at the first one. Like this is like 10 different things. Like it's way too much for me to kind of begin with, right? So what's different from a regular search engine than what you're doing with a ChatGPT or an LLM is that you can actually train it to talk to you or to respond to you in whatever characteristics make sense for you. So I kind of sometimes say this, it's like relationships. It's like we understand how we talk to our partner, or we talk to our spouse, or we talk to our friend, or we talk to our children. I have 3 kids, and I know I have to talk to each of them a little bit differently and listen to them a little bit differently at the same time. So the way we talk or communicate with ChatGPT is through a prompt. And so the first thing that I just did was a prompt. It was just a question: how do I fly a kite? Right? The concept of understanding how to become really efficient at communicating and understanding the way you need to get back is called prompt engineering. And it's actually becoming perhaps not a science, but really something that's being analyzed and studied and fine-tuned is kind of the word here or there. And you're going to see people selling prompts now, and they're selling prompts packages and all these different things, which basically says, you know, here's what experts, you know, depending on the output that you're trying to get back. So are you trying to get back an email? Are you trying to get back education? Are you trying to get back, you know, are you trying to solve a math problem or a really complex problem? Like, the technology is pretty amazing. I mean, you know, you can talk about quantum physics. We can talk about, you know, really obscure parts of astrophysics or these different things. And most likely than not, the information has been sourced because it scoured the internet, and it can talk to you pretty much about anything. Now, a couple of things to consider. The technology is built to give you an answer. There's a concept called hallucination, and hallucination sometimes means that it may make up facts. Okay, and there you'll see a disclaimer at the bottom which says we're going to do our best, but sometimes, you know, in the effort of trying to give you content that's maybe a little bit, you know, off, it will make up some things. And so you have to be careful that you don't just take this as, you know, oh, it's 100% because it was, you know, on ChatGPT. You know, it's like one of my favorite memes that says, you know, you can believe everything on the internet because it's real and it's signed Abraham Lincoln. You know, like, probably didn't happen, right? Abraham was 150 years before the internet. But it's because on the internet, most people tend to believe it, right? So I will caution you with that although I'd say 95, 99% of the time, things are going to be correct, do your homework, analyze it. You can ask it, are you sure this is correct? You can preface it in your prompt engineering by telling it, do not make up anything. Only present to me factual things of that nature. And that's the concept of prompt engineering. I'll get back into that in a second. So one of the first things I do when I tell everyone that I kind of talk to about this and show this to is the understanding of what's called customization. And this is kind of something newer that just added. So within ChatGPT, in the free account, doesn't matter if it's the free or plus account, you're going to have this button inside of your name, and it's going to say custom instructions. Okay. What these custom instructions actually do is, and if you can, you see where it says thought starters here on the side? I had to close my window so I can't see you. But what it basically allows you to do is for you to tell the system a couple of things about you. Number one is, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? Okay, so like, where are you based? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies and interests? What subjects can you talk about for hours? What are some of your goals you have? So for example, one of the things I do with my children is each of them have their individualized ChatGPT accounts. They actually customize it, and they tell ChatGPT what they need to, what ChatGPT should know about them in terms of what grade they are, the languages that they speak, the hobbies that they have, and more importantly, sometimes is how they would like ChatGPT to respond. And that's the bottom one, right? Which is, how would you like it to respond? Do you want more of a formal or a casual conversation? How long or short should the answers be? Just like I said, sometimes, believe it or not, like in some of my more complex ones, like I tell ChatGPT, look, we're going to go through a process of, you're going to ask me a question and I'm going to answer it. And we're going to kind of delve into like these brainstorming things. And sometimes it'll give me like 5 questions at one time. And I've customized it now to say, you're going to ask me one question at a time. You're going to give me some time to answer it. If the matter is, complex and it starts learning you a little bit, as you go by, you could tell it, look, explain this concept to me as a 5th grader. Explain it to me. For example, if I write emails or I tell it to help me write an email, I'll always say, we're using middle school English, right? Believe it or not, most people read and write at a 5th grade level. Professionals at that level. I do a lot of sales consultation, a lot of emails going out, a lot. Like when I say tens of thousands of emails go out, 5th grade English, people. Just make it short and sweet and don't complex. But by the same token, you can ask it to say, you can actually ask it and say, okay, let's just do it live. What? So I'm gonna keep it blank right now because I closed it out here, but I want everyone to kind of start with this when you start, and you'll see how the answers start changing as the GPT starts customizing it. So 1, understanding you better, and number 2, how you want it to respond from that. So from those that are using ChatGPT now, did you know this existed? No, most people don't. That's the funny part. They don't really tell you that
No.
it's there, and it's super powerful. Like I have one of my kids that'll say, okay, in this particular subject, which is a little bit harder for me to understand, explain, international baccalaureate, 11th grade math as a 7th grader or as a 6th grader, just because I need to see it in a different manner to kind of understand it a little better, right? So I'm going to leave it kind of something like that, and we're going to start a new chat, and I'll give me somebody throw the topic out there that you think is kind of interesting, and I'll kind of show you how it can talk to you a little differently. Anyone can come off mute or put it in the chat. I can't see the chat, so I think if you just say it out loud, it'd be easier. And we could keep it to the nonprofit space if we want to do that as well.
Planning a telethon.
Running a telethon. Okay, so normally this is the interesting part. How I was going to show you. So normally on Google we would say running a telethon. Show me how to run a telethon, right? And you're kind of going to get these websites back and these answers back. So one of the things that we do, and I really like this because it's like me telling someone to act in a certain way, like how many times, hey, grow up, hey, act like this, act like this. We actually start my prompts by telling ChatGPT to act like something, right? So if I'm looking for information on how to run a telethon, I'm going to say, act like an expert with 20 years of, the chat came up. Do this. Sorry, my chat bar came through and I can't see what I'm typing. Can you still see me there? Okay. 20 years of. And don't worry about the typing. I'll make mistakes, but I type fast. But the GPT is smart enough to understand what you're saying. Successful telethon for the nonprofit sector. Is there a particular cause that you have or your nonprofit has?
Feeding.
Say it again. Feeding. Okay.
Food insecurity.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Focus heavily on feeding and food insecurity.
Yes, hopefully it does
Okay.
ignore the spelling mistakes.
No, it won't, because I type so fast that I'm going here on that. So, so what's the question that we want to ask it?
Nicolette?
How to plan and orchestrate a successful telethon.
Okay. So help
So
me plan a successful telethon for my organization. Okay. That's a lot of information.
Wow.
It is.
And again, don't worry about the spelling. Like I said, sometimes, it's like you just go with it and it'll know smart enough of what you're doing and you kind of go there, right? So to me, this is a lot. Right.
And it's very theoretical. It's very high level, right? It's like, oh, this is what you should do, which is great.
Right. Yeah. Now, even if I just did something different and I just read a new chat, by the way, you can have as many chats as you want on the side. The ones that you do will be on your left-hand side. So if I didn't tell it to act as it, and I just said, help me plan a successful telethon, it's going to give you some kind of information, and it might be aligned, right? But again, the more you prompt it or the more you tell it to act as a certain thing, the more it will act it like there.
So
Right,
this
so you
one,
could ask it
this
to
one breaks it down better because we're not acting like someone who's done it already.
Well, I don't know if it's better. They're going to be different.
No, what you want is you actually want an informed version.
Yes.
You want a
Yeah.
version, right? Okay. Yep.
Yeah, you want it to act as the ideal person. So for example, if you're doing a business plan, right, you're going to say, you know, act like, or you are a, you could do that, either act like, or you could say you are a MBA, you know, graduate from Harvard, you know, with a Harvard degree from business degree from Harvard. And you have successfully written, you know, thousands of successful business plans that have gone on to, you know, have startups to, you know, have their IPO or whatever you want it to be. It will take that information and it will model itself and it will talk to you in that manner, right? So even if I just took this one, we're going to go back to the other one that was more of the expert one. And I say, explain this as if I were a fifth grader. Right, and it just kind of broke it down, and it said, and it started, and I want to bring it back because it says, imagine you want to organize a special event on TV and the internet to help people who don't have enough food to eat. We call it a telethon. I'll break it down for you like a fifth grader, right? And it's like, set a clear goal. Now, if you want to make it more complex, I can go back and say, you know, explain it to me as if I am a PhD. Right? And of course, research, right? It's going to go right to the research side. You need a committee. Of course, you need an expert advisory committee to figure this out. You know, optimize your timing with behavioral economics. I mean, look at the difference between that and talking to a fifth grader, right? Pick a date. Pick a time and date. Like, just really get important supporters. Tell a good story, right? All the way to construct a data-driven narrative. Utilize advanced fundraising. You know, like, leverage behavioral psychology
Daniel,
for donor motivation. Yes.
Shouldn't there be something included around which have been the most successful and what are the key for success? Because this is theoretical, but then if you bring the actual successes, then it would build on things that have already happened in different places. Shouldn't that?
Tell me again, it was the most successful telethons and?
Yeah, and what were the key items or measures of success? I mean, why were they successful? What was different? I don't know how to explain that, but successful telethons may or should have like a list of ingredients. So which are those?
Okay, so a couple of things that I always say, and you made a great comment there, which was, I don't know how to say it. Here's the great part, and I do it all the time. I say, I don't know what to ask you. I don't know what to say next, right? And it'll give you options, and you say, can you please list out 3 or 4 options of things I should be asking you? Like I tell everyone that I talk to, they're like, even my dad's 78, and I started him on it, and he's like asking it things, and he's like, I don't know, I'm stuck, I don't know what to ask it. And I say, write that exactly. I don't know what to ask you, but I'm kind of interested in X, right? So 2 things I want you to notice here. Number 1 is it gave you some really successful information, right, of some of these, like the red nose days I've heard about. But I want to go back to the fact that we want to make sure that none of this stuff is made up. Okay, so here's what I'm going to show you. What I do is, as I do this, and I'm like, oh, geez, I forgot to ask it not to make things up. You can go back to the original question that you asked, which was this one, and you'll see this little pencil be highlighted right here. This is your edit button. When you click on it, it allows you to go back in here and actually type anything else or change whatever you want to words. And I'll say, do not make anything up. right? Everything must be true and factual. And then I could just hit save and submit, and it'll rewrite it for me based on that new prompt. Okay, and that's the difference between like a Google search, right? And that you actually, you know, in Google, you have to kind of keep iterating the search, and then you kind of customize it and you change the words. Here in prompt engineering, this is actually where you actually take the message. And so what I wanted to show you was this particular chat keeps going, and ChatGPT in this one thread talking about fundraising for a successful telethon campaign is not going to put information from like, you know, how to fly a kite or whatever I did before. This is just focused on the information that's at hand, and you can continue to ask it questions as it's changing and it's learning about you. So Jerry Lewis, I know Jerry, right? So Jerry Lewis, that's got to be true, because I know Jerry Lewis was around forever doing a lot of these things, right? And so as it goes on here, like, what's the next question you want to ask it? You want to delve deeper into one of them? We could click on, you could ask it, say, you know what, give me more information on number one, or give me more information. Somebody throw a number at me.
Well, I guess I'd ask, how does it know that something is true? Because if it's getting the information from the internet, not everything on the internet is true.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just using a probability of how many times it showed up in the different places that it showed up. So for example, just last week, the New York Times is suing OpenAI because it's using its information to gather the data for their data lake, right? So I'm going to make the assumption that in their training model, it's going to take information that is probably in the most respected, trusted news sources available and grading it and giving it some level of importance, whether it's website, whether it's the news, whether it's things like that. And so what I'm really more interested in is not so much as is it made up on the internet versus their bot itself making things up and hallucinating, which from time to time, like if you go online, then that's the other thing I will tell you, you know, if you want to learn kind of an easy way, if you're on Facebook or on Instagram, whatever social media, even LinkedIn, follow the groups, follow the people that are talking about ChatGPT. You know, Kirsten, we could probably send out some links to the Facebook groups after this, you know, in our follow-up, where there's like ChatGPT experts. I learned from it because there's always someone asking a question. You know, the other day, what was it? It asked it, is there a leap year in 2024? And it kind of gave this whole understanding that there wasn't. And I think there is a leap year this year. And it said leap years happen every 4 years, and it kind of went through it. And it named 2024 as one of the leap years, even though in the same conversation, it just said that this wasn't a leap year. So there are things, you know, it's always kind of cleaning itself up. I will say that in the plus version and in the 4.0 version, which has a couple of extra features, the data tends to be, there needs to be less hallucination, and the information and the conversation back and forth tends to be a little bit better. So here's the funny part. I normally only use 3.5 when I get locked out of the using 4.0 so much, because you can only use it, I don't know, something like 30 or 40 times every like hour and a half before it kind of puts you in timeout. And it says you can't use ChatGPT 4 until like 7:30. And then it's like, ah. So I'll like run to use my wife's account or someone else's account, you know, to like, you know, to finish up what I'm doing, because it's always in the middle of like my brainstorming. But that's kind of how it works on this side. So if I say, give me more information in detail on number 6, just because we're talking about Haiti and some of the stuff that's going on here. That's a lot. I mean, you know, and you can ask it, you know, give me more. I just write more. I can write don't stop, I can say continue, and this thing will go on with you as much as you want. But again, the more you ask it, now you're kind of risking that place of, is it going to hallucinate? Because you're telling it to give you more. So it's like the instructions are like, well, you're telling me to give you more. What are you really asking me for? And sometimes it'll go out there and just start making things up. Right. So hopefully you put that in that little prompt of act as something and always tell me the truth, or always give me something factual. Right. How's everybody? Yeah.
I have a question on the telethon idea. So what would be the next step if Nicolette's like, oh, okay, this is all great. Now I need a plan. Can I say, build me a plan? I need my plan. I want to start this next week.
So sometimes what I like to do is, instead of, and Kristen knows me that we talk a lot and we brainstorm a lot, that I actually have an idea, or I say like, I think the next thing we should do is this. And I stop myself every day now and I say, I'm not going to say that anymore. I'm going to ask my AI, or I'm going to ask my ChatGPT. Now I use some other AI tools that understand the way I think, that understand the way I write, the way I kind of process information. And so I use different tools that have my businesses that understand me differently, that I can actually tell it, okay, you know what my problem is. What are the top 3 things I should focus on the next couple of days? Right. So to me, like, this is a lot. Yeah, Louise.
One question, now that like there's a plan, there's all these different steps, how about something like what would be the costs involved in certain, I mean, it's kind of general because it's giving, but if it's a specific fundraiser, it could give you kind of the costs that you have to take into
Right.
account.
So if we don't know what the cost can be, right, I can ask it this. Okay, I can ask it and say, okay, help me prepare a cost estimate for my event. Ask me pertinent questions. And for me, I'm going to say 1 by 1. And I'll kind of tell it again, do not give me more than 1 question so I can focus better. Let's see what it says. So go with me, Louise. What's the estimated duration of the event? 3 hours, 5 hours? We're going to do this the whole weekend.
24 hours. Do it like a Jerry Lewis. I think he used to do 24 hours, right?
Do you have a specific venue in mind? At a local university that will donate
Space.
its studio. Perfect. See, I would say that in GPT-4, it would have not asked me for the 24 hours because it would have picked up the question before where I said that they're going to donate it, right? So that's kind of like, it's not a glitch. It's just, it's learning the process of how it's doing it. But I would say that in 4, it would not have asked me that. It would have gone to the next question. See, I could train it and say, see the previous response. See? Do you need assistance in finalizing this arrangement? Perhaps. Right? What about paying for talent? And we can just go on with this, right? And it'll continue and continue and continue. And at the end, you could say, summarize everything and give me an answer back or a result back.
And the other thing that you've taught me, Danny, is what have I missed?
Ooh, yeah.
That's what Danny always says. He goes, go in there and ask it what you've missed. What are you not considering?
Missed or not considered. Yeah, I have several virtual assistants, and trust me, it's the #1 thing that I tell them all the time is, I'll give you an idea or I'll give you a task, and before you come back to me with whatever you decided to do, you have to ask ChatGPT, analyze this. This is my task assignment. This is what I put together. Am I close? What am I not considering? And they'll come back to me, and you'd be surprised how many times they'll come back and be like, you know, I hadn't considered that. In my wildest dreams would I have thought of that, but I know Danny usually thinks of things like that, so they kind of catch things, you know, at that. Okay, so we could go on. Trust me, this can go on. We can do our own telethon doing ChatGPT. Okay, so you got to kind of get the idea on the 3.5. I want to show you why I believe the $20 monthly cost is worth it for the 4. Okay.
Okay, so 3.5, that was the free account.
Yes, correct.
And anybody can
free
sign
account.
up for anytime.
Right. I also
Got it.
believe that if you wanted to use, and I don't use Bing, but I'm pretty sure, I think the agreement is that Bing is now tied into ChatGPT 4 because Microsoft did a $10 billion investment into OpenAI. So I'm pretty sure for those that, you know, wanted to either not create a ChatGPT account, you could use Bing and kind of ask the same thing, and it'll kind of go from there on that side. Okay, so that's one of the alternatives you have in terms of like the free version of the search. And then the one that the participant earlier had mentioned they use, they put it in the chat. That's an interesting one. I hadn't seen that one before either. But here's what's cool about 4. Okay, so the first thing is you might notice that on the chat bar, there's now a new icon. This actually allows you to upload a file. It could be a PDF, it could be Jerry or CSV or your Excel files. It could be, I think you do zip as well and upload like multiple files that's in there right now. But a Word Docs or Google Docs, whatever you want, and you could just say, analyze this for me. It could be I've seen complex spreadsheets, you know, like that, just like, you know, it's all financial models, and you pop it in there and you're like, help me make sense of this. Like, what am I looking at? It looks, you know, like hieroglyphics, and it'll give you the answer to it on the spot, right? So yeah, Jerry.
Does it save the information if you're working on a fundraising event or some type of project, and then a day later you have some more questions? Does it save your information?
It saves it in the thread. So just like I showed you in the other one, like if I go back to this one and I click on it, you'll realize that it went back to 4.0, right? But you can work and work and work, and I can like, I think this is probably my son that was doing some work on the gut-brain axis connection, right? So you can go back to it, Jerry, and the conversation continues. See how the information is still there?
Okay.
And then you could just continue, and no matter how old it is, it'll know where it was. And that's the benefit of it as well. So when you upload that file, it'll be there. Now, I will preface this very importantly, which is, do not share personal information on this, because the way this works is that it actually uploads your information, it will process it, it'll take it into its huge lake of information, and to analyze it, it has to put it into their system. So do not put sensitive materials in here. Okay, now, for the nonprofit space, the good thing is 990s are public information, you know, aside from the churches or things like that. So chances are it'll be something very, it would have to be something very delicate that you're going to put up there to kind of analyze. That's something that you don't want to share. Okay. In the enterprise version, so the enterprise version is the version that OpenAI does for big companies. And so you can pay to have your team have access or have your employees have access. Their option in enterprise, and I don't really know what the dollar amount starts at, but I'm sure it's not inexpensive. That they do not upload your information. They actually kind of bring the AI in and just use your data. So Microsoft is launching something similar called Copilot. Google has a product called Duet, which should be out in the next couple of months. Those are done by the providers where you have like your Google Drive or you have your, you know, your SharePoint account or whatever it is. And I believe in those situations, and I think it's going to charge as well. I think right now Copilot's like $20 a month to begin with. You can actually have it analyze your personal business information only, and it does not go into the AI. Okay, so I would do this for like PDFs, for example. I might like I'll tell you what, I was programming something to create my own bot that can help a nonprofit post on Instagram, for example. And I saw it was LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has an entire like resource library for nonprofits on LinkedIn. And it makes you download each of the PDFs. It was like 8 or 9 PDFs, right? And so I could look at it and I can kind of summarize it, but I can also just pop it in here and say, give me a quick 500 words, you know, summary on this PDF, and then upload the next one and the next and the next one, right? And as I go through the thread at the end, I could say, now summarize everything into like a small white paper based on all the information here that I must really understand, right? Because then as I train my own bot to help people, you know, post on LinkedIn as a nonprofit, I'm actually using LinkedIn's proprietary information and their advice and their best practices, so that my bot knows that when it goes to build a post for a nonprofit, that it does using the best practices that LinkedIn themselves is telling you to do it. Does that make sense? Right. So one of the other things that is the best part of ChatGPT 4, not 3.5, is that it also has access to the internet. And that's what this means here. So I'll talk about DALL-E in a second. Browsing means it can actually browse. It can actually go to the internet, and I'll show you right now. We'll do that. It's kind of how Bing works in that. And there's this limit of 40 messages for 3 hours. So you can imagine how every hour and change I'm blowing through this, and I have to find another account. to do it, right? So DALL-E is, let me back up. OpenAI is ironically a nonprofit that owns ChatGPT. Long story there. But they're a nonprofit that owns a for-profit. Really interesting business model. Jerry will talk about it one day on how they created what's called a capped impact or a capped income subsidiary of a nonprofit to be able to raise the billions of dollars that they raise, even though they're owned and they have a board of directors as a nonprofit. So DALL-E is one of their other products, and DALL-E is actually their image generation feature, right? So that's a little slower, but if I ask it to generate an image of something, it'll actually go through the process and generate an image of something, right? So I can ask it, generate an image, somebody give me something of a sunset, just keep it, you know, sunset over the mountains. I don't know. And you'll see it'll click in DALL-E, and DALL-E will start generating the image. You can generate logos, you could generate images. Now, again, it goes back to the prompt. Like there's some wonderful prompts where you can actually generate some really beautiful images and pictures for what it says. And like, look, that's your image right now. You could put that into your website. You can tweak it. You want to change it, make it a little bit darker, make it less red, or make it this. No, I don't want those mountains. Make it mountains that have snow on them. Knock yourself out. It's kind of cool what you can do when it comes to that. Right? So any questions or comments on the image generation part? I mean, that's something else you can kind of have fun with and play around with. Again, ChatGPT gives you 40 questions or 40 prompts per 3 hours. So just keep that in mind.
Danny, question on this. These are free, open.
Yep.
It's been created for you, so it's not like you're paying royalties anywhere.
Right.
You're not.
Look,
okay.
See the little button? Yep, right there. Download it. It'll download it. And then here, I didn't talk about this much, but if you like it or didn't like it, you can actually give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And it's the same thing with every single prompt that comes from below. You could tell it bad response. You know what? I didn't like what you did. And it'll tell you, like, why didn't you like it? And you provide this feedback and you're continuously training the model, right? And that's kind of cool on this side, right? What I like about the internet side of it is somebody throw me a quick like nonprofit website that we can go look at. Lulis, what's yours?
I was just about to say, everybody's being shy.
You don't
Bahamas
want to
Feeding
analyze
Network.
ours. We're about to.
Bahamas Feeding, is it bahamasfeedingnetwork.org or
Yes, that is correct.
bahamasfeedingnetwork.org? Lulis, you're about to make changes to your website,
Yes.
so you don't want to waste an
So when
opportunity.
you see this, let's see how it says Bing, because they did a partnership with Microsoft, so they actually work with Bing. So look, it went to Bing, and look what it's going to go. It went to the Bing, it found the website, it's analyzing it now, it's going to tell me all about the website or about the organization.
Is this crazy or what? Now this is where it's getting good. I mean, we need to pull out the popcorn here. This is like, this is just incredible.
Right?
To your question, I think it'll be good also to analyze ours, because if we're in the process of updating it would be good to know what's wrong with it.
I've got something special for you, Lulis, that I'm working on that, but tomorrow I'll have something here better for you, and I'll kind of preface it a little bit here. So let's go. Look at that. You did 25,000 pound turkey donations for the holidays, all these great things, right? Yep. It's fantastic, right? So now I could say, act like an expert web, and I haven't seen your site, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you got it thinking, Danny.
And you notice that it didn't go back to Bing, Jerry, to your point, because it already did the information, already went to Bing, it already researched it, so it understands what it has, right? So a couple of the big things that I do with like websites is like, you know, search engine optimization, like, you know, give me keywords, like what am I missing? Look, at an expert in web design, my focus would be enhancing the user experience. Interactive impact visualization. Oh, So this is great. So it might be a network area on my part. It might be my internet. This is great that it happened here, right? Something might have happened. Here's a cool thing. You kind of just go to the bottom, you hit regenerate, it'll start again, it'll kind of go through it. Once in a while, that'll happen.
Imagine being a funder, being a foundation, and you're like, oh, I heard about this nonprofit. Let me plug in the website and have it give me the top facts.
Yeah. And then, by the way, if it's like going somewhere, I'm like, nah, you know what? I don't like what you're saying. I just hit the stop button and it'll just stop. You see the little stop button that was just here? Just stop it. Just be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know what? You're kind of going the wrong place. Like, you know what? Only give me 2. Or you know what? I'm just like, it's just too much. Right? Or I could even ask it, watch this. How about that?
Wow.
Pick the language.
Cool.
It'll do it for you. Right? That's just the power of what you can do when it comes to so again, that's why 4 is cool, right? It's smarter, it's better, it's faster. If you end up connecting this to like APIs or different apps, there's just a ton of things you can do to customize ChatGPT for yourself. It's cheaper than 3.5. Like there's all these different things that you can do depending on how you use it in terms of the quality that you want.
I tell you, even for someone like me, just to play around with it and get to know it and get used to it, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Yeah.
So how much time do we have, Kristen? So I know how I'm
well,
going
we have 90 minutes because we often do 60 minutes. Perfect. And then we do questions. So if everybody's interested, well, whoever can stay on, stay on. We'll keep going.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
I want to show you, here's the other benefit of 4.0. Here's my playground. Here's where I spent the majority of my day. So I showed you how in the beginning you can customize ChatGPT to talk to you in a certain way and answer in a certain way. And I'm going to explain to you why mine is blank. Is because I normally do not use ChatGPT like this. Like rarely will I go and tell it, just like I asked these questions over here, and here's why. As of November, they came out with a new product or a new offering within the Plus, and it's included in the $20 a month. And it's a little explore button. And as these pop up, you'll start seeing a bunch of different what's called GPTs. Okay. Now, what a GPT is basically a version of ChatGPT that has been given custom instructions to only focus and do one thing and do it extremely well. Okay. So I'll repeat. They just gave it the perfect prompt and they built it. Like this is DALL-E. So if I want to, like just how I use DALL-E inside of ChatGPT 4, 2.5, 3 months ago, DALL-E was not in 4. DALL-E was actually a plugin that you had to kind of connect or go to a different site. All these, like a PDF reader. You couldn't read PDFs 3 months ago in ChatGPT. You had to get a plugin. There was a plugin store, and other people, there was thousands of people that went out there and built these plugins to say, I can read a PDF, I can read an Excel file, I can do this. And ChatGPT came and said, you know what? We're going to let you upload your own files and put all those businesses out of business because there's no need to download a plugin or do anything outside of this anymore, right? So these, there you go, hot mods, right? Let's modify an image into something really wild. There's GPTs for Simpsonize Me. I went to a really beautiful fundraiser for in Miami, the Chapman Partnership. Raised over $1.5 million, and they had all these pictures and all these different things, and they had a cool thing where you could actually Simpsonize yourself, which actually turned the picture that you took there and it printed out because they had this machine there where you could actually upload it to one of their GPTs and it turned you into Simpson characters, right? That got so much more exposure than the traditional picture of the person, the guy and the woman or the group taking pictures together, because it was like, who cares about Harry and Sally again at a gala? But when it's Harry and Sally looking like the Simpsons, that got a lot of attention. And so they raised awareness and more funds using I think it's called the Simpsonizer. You just Google it and it's the Simpsonizer GPT. And again, it's free if you are part of the Plus program on the $20. Kristen, I have 2 messages in the chat, but I can't see the chat. So if it's something important, if you could let me know, I'll look in here. So here's how I spend my day. I spend my day building bots for nonprofits to help nonprofits be able to do all these kind of different things and do it at a really good level, right? So I'm going to show you one that my team and I have been working on, which I think is pretty cool and what it is. So who knows what a donor persona is or doesn't know what a donor persona is? Okay, so basically it's kind of comes from the buyer persona in the for-profit space of a small business, right? So I'm in the business of selling cars, right? I'm Audi or I'm BMW. I'm like, you know, there's a particular customer type of person that would buy my car, right? And you know how to market it to it. And so you build what's called a buyer persona. They tend to be this age, they tend to have this kind of income, they tend to have all these different things. So as I customize my marketing or my outreach, there's more of a chance of kind of having that puzzle fit together on that. Same thing exists in the fundraising world, except guess what? It takes a lot of time to figure out, well, what's your organization? What do you do? All these kind of different things, right? So I built it for you, right? And I made it really simple where you just kind of hit the start here button and it kind of starts, right? So stop me at any time. We'll go through this, right? Hello and welcome. I'm here to assist you creating this, right? And so the first thing I added, I programmed this, and I did all this work to program this and this ginormous like 8,000 word prompt to tell it, let's start understanding who you are. So you know what? We just did Bahamas, right? So it's www.bahamas. Tell me again, food network?
Feeding.
.org or com?
Org.
Okay. So now it's going to go and do the same thing it just did before, right? It's going to go do its research and it's going to give it to me. But except this time I told it, hey, only give me a couple of sentences. Don't give me the whole 2 or 3 paragraphs because that's just too much information. Like, I'll know that you know it's me based on the first couple of sentences that okay, so it's asking you to give this persona a name. I don't know what to name this thing, right? So I would say, can you give me some ideas? And this is your. We'll do it together, Nicolette. You tell me which name kind of comes through as a name that you want to name this person, and then we're going to fine tune this person, and you're going to tell me exactly who this person is for you. Okay? Which name kind of connects to you as a donor? It's a donor, right? This is the person that's going to take you to that next level, Nicolette.
As a donor. Okay, let's go with Miss Davis.
Miss Davis, 2. Look, I just put 2. That's all I got to do. Mid-career professional who is socially aware and actively involved in community service, okay? So now it says, could you please specify which of the following segments Samantha fits into? Or is there another segment you have in mind? Is she a corporate professional? B?
A,
corporate professional. Perfect. So you got to let it finish. You could put A. There we go. She is engaged in the corporate sector, has an interest in corporate social responsibility. Now let's move on to the problem Samantha wants to solve. Okay, which of these problems do you think Samantha wants to solve?
four.
Okay, and by the way, you can always say, ask me more, or you can tell it, this is the problem I want you to solve. Because it's programmed to just give you options based on your information. You realize that it's all related to your organization, right? It's not talking about dogs, it's not talking about space. It's because it understood your website, and so it's going to ask you that. And if it's a little off, you could say, you know what? No, Samantha's more something else. You could tell it that as well. So 4, right? Is that what you said, 4? Okay.
Yeah.
It knows when you're in the Bahamas. That's fantastic. Like right away, they know their supporting systems in the Bahamas, right? So now what are the negative consequences of this problem that she's particularly unhappy about, right? So this is actually addressing the pain point that your organization is actually alleviating and that her philanthropy would actually make her feel better about. So which of those 4 pain points do you think Samantha relates to the most?
Number 2.
I feel like we're in a game show.
Yeah.
Everyone's like,
Final answer.
No, number 2. Okay, so now it's going to move on to what's her job to be done, the specific actions or achievements that she wants to accomplish through her philanthropy.
Well, see now, Samantha wants to do 1 and 4.
Okay, so
Oh.
say 1 and 4. And I should have said, I have to, so thank you. Now I have to program it to say, and I think I did tell the instructions, let people know they can choose more than one option. Because you're right, people are different and they might have these different scales of, 50% interested in this, 45 in this, whatever else it's going to be. So what's her motivation? What drives her to complete these jobs to be done? Here are the couple of motivations she may have.
1 and 2.
Right. So I pulled up the corporate side, knowing that she's a corporate person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're going to identify the trigger, right? Which is what you think is triggering Samantha to want to be part of the solution.
2 and 4.
We're almost done. And that's what's good about this, because you're understanding that what the persona you're going to create is actually going to be something that as you start doing marketing to business professionals, like on a LinkedIn, this is the persona that you're building, right? So now it's asking what factors might hinder Samantha from doing some of this. She doesn't have the time, limited resources.
1 and 1 and 4.
Okay, so that's where she's at. How informed do you think she is of these problems?
Number 3.
Just 3?
3,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so you could see, and everyone else can see how we're kind of fine tuning this persona, right? And so what I want to show you is you can do this as many times as you want.
Can you have several personas?
You should have several personas.
You should, right?
Right?
Okay.
You should
Yep.
have, because it could be so. In my other one, when it comes down to create, and now maybe I'll add it to this as well, to creating. Oh, look at this. That's what it thinks Samantha looks like for you.
Looks like Kirsten.
I
Bahamian
wish.
corporate person.
wish.
What do you all think of this? I think it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, very.
Okay. How am I going to use this?
Now, and before that though,
Yeah.
that, I'm in the Bahamas. We're majority Black. I wanted Samantha to be Black.
Good point.
You know, it's funny. I thought you were going to say that when you said that.
Please
Make her Black in the image. It's so funny because I was thinking to myself, okay, I should maybe ask questions within it. If we should have the picture be generated in a specific race, because we can program it. I can program it to go back and say, how do you want the person to look? Is there a specific trait that you want them to have? And again, it's using DALL-E to create the image, right? So what I would normally do or tell nonprofits to do is, there she is. How about that?
Yep, that's my
There's
Samantha.
That's your Samantha.
There
Looks just like
she
her.
is. There she is. Wow.
Right. So normally what I would tell you to do is then you would copy this, right? You would take the image, you would download it. You could take all this information here, and I usually keep it like in a Google Drive, and I would say personas. And these are my personas. Right. And so if I say, okay, I'm going to reach out to a corporate professional, and I need to craft on, so here's what I would say. Okay, now that we know who Samantha is, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to assume Samantha's going to be on LinkedIn. I would hope as a nonprofit you're on LinkedIn, right? Here's what I'm going to tell it. Now that it has your persona, I'm going to say, please write me a nice message to connect with her on LinkedIn.
I think it's gonna tell you, you need to get on LinkedIn first. I don't think we are.
But look,
Ooh.
now to make it even cooler, you can actually find a link of the person, their LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and put their link here and say, craft me a message to Kirsten Stevens, to
Oh,
Danny Alberttis,
wow.
analyze their profile.
Wow.
Just like it analyzed the website, just like I showed you with the website, right? And say, create me a persona just like this person, because guess what? What if they're a donor? What if you take your major donors right now, or what if you took the, your donors and you broke them, Kirsten's the fundraising expert here, to 3, 4, 5 different categories, right? Here's my Gen Z
That's
donor, my
fictional.
millennial donor,
Mhm.
my baby boomer donor, my silent generation donor that may pass away and leave me a nice, planned giving, right? They did something. Here's their profile. Maybe they're well known in the Bahamas, and so they have a Forbes, whatever it is. You can get this information somewhere and say, this is it's the concept in the business world is your ideal customer profile. Who is your ideal customer, right? Nonprofits, don't really have customers, and so what do they have? They have either donors or community people that are going to get the work done for them.
And now that you've done so much on Samantha, can you ask it to come up with 5 examples on LinkedIn that fit the Samantha criteria?
That's a good question. I haven't tried it. Let's see. Now, LinkedIn is so big. Let's see. Let's see. Can you
In the
go
Bahamas? Well, actually,
online
we have. I was gonna say it's just in
and
the Bahamas, but we have an international. We have an international arm now.
um, let's see, Jerry. I'm assuming it's going to somehow go and search on Bing and put those parameters in there. Oh, so here's the interesting part. I customized it to not do things outside of this particular call, right? But what we can do is now take the information, just like we did here in this persona, right? Let's see. AI donor Samantha. Okay, let's just say we copied it to there. And I got out of the GPT that I was and just went back to traditional GPT-4. Now, because this one's not programmed to not go outside of it, right? So I can say, please go online and find me 3 potential matches on LinkedIn for people that the following. And I can just paste that in there directly, hit enter, and it'll go online. I haven't tried this, Jerry, so let's see what it'll do.
I just
So
paid
it's actually looking for
$2,000 to have something do
looking for
that.
Samantha Davis. Yeah, it's looking for that name for Samantha Davis. Jerry, now you got me thinking I'm gonna have to build something that does it for you.
Well, if you can build it, because there's software packages that will do that, but they cost $2,000. So not
Yeah, we
everybody
could
can
figure
afford
out.
that.
Yeah. Let's see. Does it say where it went? And by the way, when it's blue, it'll tell you where it went, right? So that's what I did. It and you look, it actually shows you what it looked for. Oh, look, so they actually put her name. They actually summarized that entire thing and wrote professional unsustainable food systems in the Bahamas, right? So what we could do, so here's what I do. I learned, right? So I go back to it and I say, okay, The problem here is that it was looking for Samantha. So I can edit it, and maybe if I removed this from it, let's see, review that match the following criteria. In the Bahamas might be a little tough, so let's just kind of leave it. I don't know if it's going to work either like this, but we'll try it. Because it was looking for that particular name, and obviously Bing's not going to find that particular name. So at least you can change it, right? And that's kind of like the process of it, where you can ask it questions. Look, I cannot find an assisting it, right? So maybe it'll give you some advice, like, how else can I find someone that fits these files? So that's good advice, right? Go to LinkedIn search groups, industry conferences and seminars, academic institutions, nonprofits, social media groups. So it's going to give you some information, right? So I guess what I'm trying to show you there is it's hard to hit a wall, Jerry, where you can always keep asking it for something or some advice, and then sometimes you end up going down rabbit holes. And now, Jerry, you see why I go through 40 questions in less than an hour as I go through it.
What's your learning curve on something like this? You're obviously very good at it. You've been doing it for a while, but for the typical person that signs up today, I can see.
Here's what I would do. I would go
a
to
lot
3.5,
of time
Jerry.
on this learning.
And this is what I would do, Jerry. I would sign up for an account. I would customize it and say, I am, this age, my level, my background was this as a professional. I'm retired now. These are the things that I enjoy. My technical proficiency is X, Y, Z in the customization, right? In the customization, custom instructions, write that, right? A little bit about who you are, your learning style, please go slow with me. And again, I'm not saying it, I just say it's because I do it with kids. I do it with different people, different languages. I did it with my dad, who was 78. I had to, prompt it to say, please speak to me in this manner. Don't throw too much at me, things like that. You can tell it. And then you could just start and ask it, can you build me a, 2-week process to understand AI or understand ChatGPT better? And it'll create the model for you. If you're on the paid version, you could say, go online and find me these tools. YouTube, amazing source of information. I've learned 80% of the stuff that I learned is on YouTube, to be honest.
This is crazy.
Right? And so,
Wow.
and here's what I do. Here's the crazy part. I'll take an 1.5, 2-hour long YouTube video, and I'll take the link of it and I'll Google the word YouTube transcriber, and it's a website. You drop the link in there and it transcribes, and it gives you in 2 seconds the entire transcript, the whole hour, 1.5. I put that as a file into GPT-4 and I say, analyze this and give me a summary of what I need to know according to my learning, whatever I need to learn. And it'll give me the information that I learned. And that's how I absorb information so quickly, Jerry.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, I no longer have a customization because I have individual GPTs customized for anything that I need. I have probably, 120 custom GPTs for crafting emails, for responding to certain things, whatever I do there.
And the purpose of that, Danny, is so that every time you go in, you don't have to keep giving
uploading
more
your information, right?
You can just
Prompting
pop right
like
into that GPT.
Exactly. So Jerry, I'd say start with the 3.5. Get your feet wet. Join. Look at Facebook groups. Has I think it's called like ChatGPT experts. Again, we'll send you the links of like the groups that I'm part of. And there's everything. There's people around the world that are, some are new, some are learning, some, everyone's kind of in a different place. And there's courses and there's things that come out. And what I do recommend, and maybe Kirsten, we could link to them, is I follow some really good newsletters that I get on a daily basis. And it's literally like, and the funny part is I'm pretty sure they're generated by AI. So maybe we got to come up with our own newsletter, Kirsten, so we can kind of put out there on a daily basis on what's happening AI, and we'll customize it to the nonprofit space.
Oh my goodness.
Because 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I'm up late and I'll get the newsletters, and it's like, oh, who's doing what? You know, Google just launched Gemini, which is their new LLM, and so did this. You're like, oh no, New York Times is suing OpenAI, and it's like you just pick it up and you learn.
I'd
and
like a
you- and
GPT
you-
that's going to create a newsletter for us that's a summary of all of the AI developments in the last
right,
48 hours.
right. So I'll show you something cool that I go to, and so the GPT store is coming out this week. OpenAI is actually announcing it. This is not the official store, but if you Google the words GPT store, there are a bunch of different people that have collected GPTs, and this is basically a directory of anything related to. I mean, there's like, I don't know, 50,000, 60,000. There's a lot. Like there's just a lot. Like you name it, what you want to, understand, e-learning, translation, SEO. There's all these different things. What's different about the ones I build and my team build is that we heavily focus on training them specifically for a sector, like the nonprofit sector. And so they're customized to really understand, like the donor persona, right? You might have a buyer persona, but it's not going to talk to you like a nonprofit. It's not going to ask you about those heartstring pulling questions that we could ask it, the way it's trained. And so that's a good, opportunity as well. And so OpenAI, ChatGPT is coming out with their own store this week. They announced it. And so it should have the repository. You'll find all of ours as well when we put up there. But I think by the time we're done by end of the month, we should have well over 50 to 70 nonprofit specifically focused GPTs that anyone could use on the platform, as long as you pay the $20 to ChatGPT to build them out. That's kind of my way of giving back to the communities and wanting nonprofits to be like, all right, we got to pick this up.
Exactly.
There's no reason now not to understand, right? There's no reason to have an older website. There's no reason to not post on social media. Like we're building a LinkedIn post generator, an Instagram post generator, a TikTok post generator. Everyone is different. LinkedIn has a unique way of doing things. Instagram does it differently. We built a GPT that understands the best way to do it, customized for a nonprofit. So you can take that persona and say, hey, Instagram, GPT, I need to put a post or send this person a DM, and this is their profile. Create the message for me. Done. Right.
Okay, questions.
Yep, I've got a couple questions.
Great. Let's go.
Can you use this for wealth screening, since that information is public information?
If it's public information, yeah. So one of the other things that I know a couple of people that have done is they've gotten access to some of the databases that have the information, and they try to kind of like break it. So they'll analyze a file, right? And they'll look for certain things where a person could kind of picture that, in terms of that. Or they'll do like the top 50 companies in the area or 25 companies in the area, and then pull in LinkedIn profiles and then learn how to customize messages and outreach based on that. Because you have a good idea of the guy's a CEO at Tyco, right? He's got to be doing pretty well, right? So you can kind of like figure things out based on that and then craft your messaging on that. But you can ask it. Again, that's the whole thing is, if I don't know, I can just ask it. How can I use this, to screen for wealth? I mean, that's literally, I mean, it's funny because my kids laugh at me and they say it's askdanny.ai, and I'm like, just ask it. Just ask the darn thing.
So the answer is always yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The answer is yes. How can I help you?
I'd like to go back to the analyzing database information. Like if you're working on, creating donor segmentation and from the data in our own database.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure it's protected. Obviously, it's confidential information. So it sounds to me like that's a
so here's what I would do. I would, unless you want to, until like the better programs come out for enterprise level where you can just like not have to share it on, and my team's working on something kind of custom right now, which we should hopefully launch the next 6 weeks. That'll help you do that. One of the things you could do is just figure out how to make your data anonymous, right? So for example, you just need an encryption key, right? Which is like, if you have your first name, last name, email address of the person, and it has their information, you could ask it and say, okay, help me create an encryption, right? An encrypt key or something like that, in which, it takes the person's name, it scrambles it somehow, but then you could uncrypt it as well. So if you upload the information, it's not going to mean anything to anybody, but you can actually decrypt it if you need to. Does that make sense?
It
That's
makes
just if you
sense.
want to be
I
extra
think I'll
careful
wait
in
for
terms of,
somebody to
like, the
figure that out.
No, I mean, it's the personalized stuff is in there. Like, I'll help you. Like, if we want to do some stuff, you can kind of figure out some of the unique things. So if you're proficient with like APIs, like, you know, there's an API connection to this where you can actually build a bridge between your donor database and ChatGPT, right? And then maybe it's a
Yeah.
question for who's your donor database right now? Who are you using?
Donor Perfect.
All right, so let's ask it.
I'm sure it costs something, but
Well, there's an API. Yeah, you got to connect it to the API. So when you log into this, you can actually have your own custom API. You can take that key. Most softwares or CRMs are connecting to that part of allowing to do it. Some of them are getting better than the other. Like, I handle my business through HubSpot. HubSpot has amazing AI built into it, where I can just drop an email address and it'll pull up information on the company. You know, there are all these different things that are there. So again, it's going to give you a lot of information based on kind of where you are. And then you can ask it, you know, how can I upload
Thanks, Libby.
see? And it'll just give you the
Yeah.
answers as you go from there. Again, ask it. That's the best part of it. Like,
yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
Just ask it.
Anonymize
See?
the, yep.
yeah, that's, you know, and then you could say, okay, teach me how I could make the data, how to do this, watch.
Yeah.
So I can even just stop it right there and just be like, okay, stop. You know
Please
what?
anonymize my data.
Yeah.
How to do a number 2. Right? And again, how deep do you want to go?
There you go. Remove it.
Right? And
Yeah.
you could send, like, you can, let's say you have a CSV file with dummy data, right? Because here's okay, I can stop it right here and say this, watch. Okay, right? So let's say you're going to pull that information from your donor, and you want to just, how is it going to look dummy data wise? It'll produce the file for you and it'll give me a CSV right now. Right? So let's say backwards, and you want to take your information. Let's say you download from Donor Perfect and it's actually, you know, 7 columns and it's first name, last name, or that's what I would do. I would take the file from Donor Perfect, make a copy of it, delete all the information, but leave the headers, right? The header columns, so it's blank. I would upload it to this as a blank and say, help me create a way of keeping this information anonymous so I can upload it to you. And it'll analyze it and give you suggestions on how to do it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Say, look, donor ID, donor amount, donation date. And watch, it'll give me the download link.
Wow.
Right? And if I want to see it, it should open up for me. It's probably not showing in the Steam screen, but it's a small little 5 little thing that says, you know, the information on it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's what it pulls up.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would do it backwards, right? I would take it from Donor Perfect and then delete the actual information, just leave the headers, right? And just say, how do I make this anonymous to upload it to you? And then what's interesting is you can actually upload it just with the header files and just say, hey, do me a favor, fill this out with dummy data. And it'll fill it out with dummy data with the actual headers that you need. And then you could re-upload it and then try the different ways that it's teaching you how to make it anonymous. And then test it with its own dummy data. So you're not using real data. That's like, it's Sky's the
Yeah.
limit. Let your imagination go wild here and be like, do you understand how many times I ask it? Does this even make sense?
Yeah.
Other
You know,
questions?
and you go with it. Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions before we wrap up? Has this been helpful?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank
Amazing,
you.
huh?
Amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And so my question is what can we do next? What can I do next to
Yeah.
help with the training, with the education,
That's,
with doing these things?
you know, we were
I
thinking
think
of the
that newsletter
topic for
idea may
next.
work. Yeah, that newsletter may have to come out, Kirsten. I think.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking of what to do for the next training. And I thought, well, you know, this is there's so much to this that it almost feels like, you know, I want to give it the time that it deserves. I don't know if we need to have another session. I know we talked about it last time, but or what else would everybody like to hear about? What else can we do a training on? But yeah, I love the newsletter idea, Danny. And we will make sure we're gonna gather over the next couple of days all of the links, the newsletter that Danny already gets, the Facebook groups and that sort of thing, so that everybody can start following those. Any other topics of interest that you'd like to see us touch on?
This has been extremely helpful and valuable. And I guess my next step is the learning curve. And I mentioned that earlier, but do you provide one-on-one training to talk about my specific nonprofit and what I'm trying to accomplish? And I say my time is valuable from the standpoint that I can spend so much time on and just learning something. And if I'd sooner have somebody like you that has already gone through the learning curve, it would be very valuable to me.
Yeah. So what's funny, Jerry, is based on that thinking, we're building a custom GPT for helping executive directors or board members of nonprofits learn the AI piece of it that much easier. So it's basically going to be like an AI version of Danny and all the stuff that I know, plus what's out there in the internet to help customizing it. Here's what I've been saying, and my wife's a therapist and a coach, and Kirsten does classes. The future of courses is not going to be the way it is now. If you think about courses, how it is right now, and we've all been to school and done all these different things, you kind of always hear that the teacher teaches to like the middle, right? Like the kids that are a bit smarter are kind of a little bored, or the ones that are left behind are left behind. So what's happening now is, like, for example, I use a platform called personal.ai, which is separate than ChatGPT, and it's called a PLM, a personal language model, Jerry. And so what I do is I have an AI that's customized on me. It knows me, my writings, my emails, my videos. I can talk to it. I can journal with it and have all that information. Now that doesn't go anywhere. It just stays in a kind of a closed database, and I train it. And it's trained to the part where I have a co-pilot now where it'll literally answer my emails as they come in my tone, with my knowledge, with my information. And I could choose to say, okay, send this like this, or let's tweak it and add something else, right? And so what the future of all this like design and understanding for courses is going to be, Jerry has a learning way, not a learning curve. Jerry has a way of learning that's different than Danny's way, and different than Dave's way, that's different than Kirsten's way. The future is the AI understanding how you learn and what you know, and then this curriculum is going to exist like in a cloud, like in a database, and you're going to go to and say, create me the perfect course for me to understand this based how I understand it, and it'll be like that. And when I say future, I mean like it's here. It's just getting popular. Like we're literally at the point right now where I'm building a custom avatar of me. Like I was gonna joke today and be like, hey, Danny couldn't make it, so he sent his AI avatar to do the class. Like, I'm not kidding you. We're like maybe a couple of months away from like people being on Zoom and not being on Zoom. Like, it's wild, Jerry. It's out there, right? And so your point is, like, how many nonprofits would want this? And it's not something that I want to charge for, because I think I want everyone on it, right? And so I've had these conversations. I just got off a huge conversation with the quantum, part of my committee and my board today, talking about how are we going to integrate AI in the community so we can actually deploy a lot quicker and create this shared vision. And I know what the county is doing, and what the CSC is doing, and what the United Way is doing, and what so-and-so is doing, because they all have information and we have these data silos. Right? So that's where we're kind of heading to. Capacity building in the future, completely different than we see it right now. Completely
That's
different.
right. Yeah.
Completely different. And now I'm
Yeah.
at the cutting edge of building that right now for the nonprofit sector because I see the problems, right? I live through this all the time. And I say, look, we go back 10 years at Quantum that I've been on the board, and we've probably put out $70-80 million. And I'd say the problems in Palm Beach are still bigger than ever. Granted, we went through COVID and the risk and inflation and everything else. But I look back and I say, what could we have done differently? We have an affordable housing issue. Should we have gone out and bought, hundreds of houses or helped other nonprofits buy houses or done different things? If the data was being shared, maybe things could have been done differently and we wouldn't have some of the problems we have now. Hindsight is 2020, but guess what? That data is always there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
So I can't keep going forward, on that. So anyway, that's me on a soapbox talking about it, Jerry. But as soon as I have resources, we'll happy to give it to Kirsten and she'll send them out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And Patricia wants to know about AI in relation to grants.
What specific question?
Just kind of learning. I'm definitely a beginner, and this is not Patricia, by the way. This is Hayden. I work for Patricia. I'm just signed into her account.
That's right.
Her voice has
Just
changed
like
a
last
lot.
time. Yep.
Yeah, no. I'm definitely a beginner, but want to learn, want to be able to contribute, and I just kind of want to know, the right questions.
Like effective
to
brand
ask, where to
writing or tips or
start.
techniques and things like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's literally, it's what I say. Just go on ChatGPT and just ask it. Like, I want to learn about, this is who I am as a professional. This is my organization. What should I know?
Yeah.
How do I learn grant writing? We are probably a week away from having our grant writing GPT kind of built out to kind of help you answer some of those questions and kind of help you through the process where literally you could be like, here's the link to the foundation of which I'm applying for. Like, what research can you find on them?
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then here's the grant itself. And then here's information on us. Can you kind of help me get a starting point of getting this grant information? And then I could fine tune it, personalizing it yourself.
Yeah. And do you think it would be worth it to pay for the premium like 4 version over the
$20? Oh, I mean, yes. But like, to me, I mean, just because of the internet, just because you can upload files, and it's a little smarter and faster than the other one. Yeah.
You could have it write your LOI for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Honestly,
thinking.
I don't recommend just copy paste what it spits out, but if you upload the website, you upload an impact report, you upload plenty of information, you could have it create your template or your draft.
And here's
of
the funny
LOI.
part: your nonprofit should be paying for it. I'll be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is exactly what the
It's a
organization
tool. It's what it's for.
It's a tool, just like Donor Perfect, and it's exactly what a donor should be paying for. So I mean, I'm a philanthropist. If someone came, was like, hey, listen, I'm going to spend the money on this. It's $240 a year, whatever it's going to be. Can I count on you? I should be able to get the money back, or I'm going to save on talent. I'm going to save on hiring Upwork people or outside. Just the time aspect of it is bananas. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I would look at it as, don't look at the $20 being an impediment, being like, I'm only $20 a month away from this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, we don't have a topic for next month, so we'll come up with one unless anyone has ideas and suggestions.
I'm sure AI will help us come up with one, Kirsten.
Yes, Danny. You see? I missed it. All right, we're gonna ask AI. We're gonna ask ChatGPT what the next topic.
So
what I'm gonna do is upload all the topics that we've done so far, and I'm gonna say, what am I missing? What does everybody need for 2024? And I will come up with some great topics.
But that's the mindset. That's what I want to get people to get to. Is again, I don't know. As you ask it, you just ask the GPT, well, how should I be looking at this? And
what am I missing?
Ask me questions. Well, what assets do you have? I have these assets. Great. Let's start with those assets.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's bananas. Like, it's the stuff that I see. I'm like, geez, yeah, it's bananas. What's out there? So,
Danny, thank you so much. Absolutely incredible. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, just that. It was just, I'm excited for what we can do together with all this innovation.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us. So inspiring.
Your excitement is contagious.
Thank you.
Even if you just chip away at it, Thank you for joining us, Andrea and Naja. Thanks, Jerry. And Lakeisha, Dave, good to see you. Nicolette, great to see you on the call.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
I know.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.